Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day number 115. Unbelievable, but here we are, day 115 with the update for tonight, Saturday night, late at night, 9 p.m. here in the United States on the East Coast, 6 p.m. West Coast, and 4 a.m. in Ukraine. As always, Jacob, glad for you to be here tonight with me on this Saturday night. Going to give a quick update on what is happening. How are you doing? How was your Saturday?
It was great day with family.
Beautiful. Well, I want to get right to it, man, because first of all, I think you have a prop tonight. We've got a new weapon that Ukraine is using against the Russian invasion. Since we can't get the long range weapons there, we've resorted to weapons from the toilet. So I think you've got a sample of the weapon there, Vikendi. Yeah, this is a sucker in a toilet, and it's a sour potty. So that is what we're calling what's happening there. 19 grams of green apple and little sucker.
The special holder, then you open it. There is
sour candy. And that's what we think. Hey, I want to start tonight, and we'll give a quick update on Donetsk. Donetsk is continually being rocked. In fact, I'm going to show a little bit of video, and then I'm going to let you speak about it, because Donetsk is in an interesting situation. In fact, this was yesterday, a missile strike on Donetsk, and you can see it's just the cruise missiles flying in here. Let me show this. This is actually a picture here during the day of Donetsk, and it is nonstop, really being fired upon in the center, in the residential areas, and of course, everyone's trying to blame Ukraine for shooting at their people that are there in Donetsk and all of that madness.
The people who are able to analyze, to collect facts,
yes,
they understand, and they live in Donetsk. I think it's not so much people left like this in Donetsk.
Understood.
They
occupied.
Then not. I mean, like a lot of people who analyze situation, they already left the place.
Yes.
And they surely understand that these rockets goes from Russia, from Russian soldiers, and they bombing Donetsk. And to blame Ukrainians, how bad Ukrainians are, and the question is, what do they prepare Donetsk for?
Do you know?
It's a question for me. It's an open question.
Okay.
Why they didn't do it years?
Yes.
And now they does it. Let's say probably because a lot of soldiers, wounded soldiers, who lost their arms or legs on that war, coming back, because right now it's a time when this kind of soldiers coming back to Russia. Why? Because after the wounds, after they had to spend special period in the hospitals.
Yes.
Before they get home, and when they getting home, a lot of them may start to share reality that from conversation with Donetsk people, they didn't hear about that kind of shells or like rockets to them, because when they were, let's say, mobilized for that war, all people in Russia were hearing the stories how Ukrainians were bombing the years by years Donetsk and Lugansk, but the fact it wasn't like that. And
Correct.
to make this, to create that kind of picture, they showing it, even live maybe. They need that kind of picture
They need the
to present.
narrative that Ukraine
Yes,
is bombing Donetsk, but the reality is Ukraine's not bombing Donetsk.
yes, sure.
They've got to create the story. So I wanted to really talk about this tonight because people need to understand it, because these stories are coming out more and more. I'm getting many comments. I'm getting questions sent to me, and the questions are, why is Ukraine bombing Donetsk? And I say they're not. And people will say, well, isn't Donetsk occupied by Russia? And I'll say, yes, since 2014. Well, that means Ukraine is bombing Russia in Donetsk. I said, no. I said, Russia is bombing Donetsk and shelling Donetsk now. Like you said, 8 years later, we're now starting to paint this picture that Donetsk is this big issue, and we have to create this magical story that Ukraine is bombing Donetsk, which is not true. Russia is doing it to paint the picture.
Check past wars initiated by Russia.
Yes.
And a lot of them were prepared, but that kind of pictures of some terrorist bombing, doing something in Moscow or something in Russia, it's just a normal way Russia does, making picture, making attitude, creating the attitude to the war, to some nation, to they bombed and they killing their own people.
Absolutely.
But if they did it to own people in Russia, surely it's easy for them to kill people from Ukraine. In
Correct.
Donetsk or Lugansk, it's much more easy, and or Crimea. Why not? Because they want. Doesn't matter for them. They want to create the picture and yes, and they show something. That, this is why we fight, we kill, and we hate all of these Ukrainians.
Do you remember when we were talking about Thales, the French company that was supplying the optics, or the chips?
Yes.
And then
yes,
France came out and Macron come out and said, oh, well, that was old. That's years ago and years ago. Just yesterday, which is June the 17th, 2022, here you have it. Thales came out and made an official statement that beginning today, Saturday, June the 18th, we will no longer be working in Russia. Folks, you can look it up, go look at any financial institution, website, or news. Thales just announced that they will no longer work in Russia. So folks, if you ever had a question that we were sharing, well, that was years ago. No, we're telling you the truth. Thales, the French company, was supplying Technic to Russia, and they now have just decided to leave. You know, Jacob, last night...
But that's good. This is good.
It is. No, that's good. Tonight's good. Tonight's good. No bad news tonight. Tonight's good. You see, I know we started with Donetsk, but I think it's kind of like the Bible says, what is meant for evil is going to be turned for good. This may bite them in the rear end here. I want to give another good one tonight. And last night we were talking about the creativity of the Ukrainian military. We talked specifically a lot last night about Severodonetsk, the 600 people. And today, of course, the strikes are continuing, the shelling continues, and things on the military front are continuing the same with the battles. But we talked about Ukraine's going to win this war. We need weapons. But man, Ukrainian ingenuity is one of the reasons we're going to win this war. I've got a video clip I'm going to play for everybody tonight and for you. And this actually shows a piece of military equipment. It's a rocket launcher that is designed to be either on a ship or on an airplane. Well, we don't have a ship that we can get in the Black Sea with, and Don't have an airplane we can put it on. So we've got the Ukrainian military taking one of the donated trucks from one of the Baltics, putting it on some type of trailer, dragging it through the field, and firing on the enemy. This makes me smile right here. This is why Ukraine's going to win the war. Confident. Ingenuity, care, passion, and we find a way.
Бджілки вилітають, збирати мед.
It's just an example. We
He
put it on the
says-
wagon and we pull it.
Yes, he says, bees are flying to gather some honey.
This is some honey flying. But when I got into that story and I was reading about it, and I don't know exactly what type of armament that is, but it did state very specifically it's not designed to be pulled on a wagon behind a truck and fired. It's supposed to be on a boat or an airplane. So very, very good. The other thing tonight, Jaka, that I want to give some people some smiles tonight on this Saturday night, and that would be this. Yesterday, we sunk a tugboat that was carrying armaments and troops to Snake Island. A couple of days ago, I talked about Snake Island being very important. And Russia is loading Snake Island up with equipment and anti-aircraft and missiles and everything else. But this ship was carrying troops and munitions, and Harpoon missile was able to sink it. But here is a list of ships that are either sunk or damaged. Of course, the most important one there being the Moskva. So, Ukraine with limited weapons, limited resources. Man, we just got to get the weapons there. The guys are doing an amazing job. So here we have, different ships. There's the Saratov, there's the Novocherkassk, and of course, the top left, the Moskva. The bottom right would be the tugboat that was just sunk. And many people ask, oh, well, if they can sink the tugboat, then why can't they just strike Snake Island? Well, the tugboat was en route. So it was within the range that they could strike it with the Harpoon missile there. But regardless, it's a very, very good story.
I want to enter a couple things, maybe one. Coming back to Donetsk,
Yes.
destroying what does Russia do with the rockets and the shells? Take Kherson at this moment.
Yes.
If Ukraine will do some operations for deoccupation of the Ukrainian cities like Donetsk, Lugansk, Kherson, people will be asked, the civilians, to leave the place, to leave the city.
Go ahead, man. Exactly. Exactly.
You will see it in Kherson, and if Ukraine will do it, they will be asking people to leave the place. What people cannot understand, that the real attitude to civilian from Ukrainian side and from Russian side. Russia are using their, even soldiers like meat, sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's the
This
common
just-
cannon
and-
fodder or meat grinder. Exactly.
And there is a lot of moments and facts which confirms what do I say, but Ukrainians to civilians will be asking to leave the city and not do the same what Russia did to Mariupol, to wipe it out. Yes.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
multiple times, and I know this is a statement first, but the question is coming. Multiple times over the last 115 days, we have shown video of Ukrainian soldiers risking their own lives under shelling to rescue civilians. We just showed the latest one in Lysychansk 2 days ago, where their soldiers, instead of fighting, they had to worry about and focus on rescuing civilians because Ukraine cares for people. This is the statement you're making. Ukraine wants its time not to just defend, but when the weapons are there and we push Russia out of our nation, Ukraine's not just going to start bombing Lugansk and Donetsk and Kherson and Melitopol and Mariupol. They're going to say, guys, let's get you out of there. Let's get you out of there because we're coming and we're going to free our cities. But we're not going to destroy you to free our cities.
And Ukraine government does it regularly, even when we do expect the attacks and some invasion steps to some places in Ukraine, asking people from that place, leave the city, please leave the city, and helping and providing evacuation, transport, and so on. This is because we do care about people, our civilian people,
Yes.
not just soldiers. And this is what is this is the difference why people comparing, the old people comparing Russia to fascist on the Second World War, that during the Second World War they didn't try to wipe out the city with civilians because they did have a plan to use them, and for they could live there. When the attitude of the aggressor is against of the nation, they will be wiping out Ukrainians, including kids, because their goal is not just to fight with soldiers. They fight with people, with nation.
Right.
This is why they bombing. Okay, Azovstal. Okay, coming to Mariupol. Okay, Azovstal. Were they continuing bombarding the civilians' houses? Yes, all the time. And
Well,
this is the yes.
I've got a great clip here to show. Okay, and we're focused on good news on this Saturday night, but you're making an issue here. You're making a point, and you know what we're trying to share is Ukraine and the Ukrainian
cares
culture
about people,
cares about
and
people,
will do, and
exactly.
will do all the time.
Now, let me show you what is the opposite of not caring about people. And, you know, Russia will paint this as, oh, we're caring, we're loving, we're providing. But Zhenya, you know, and I know that this is a bunch of mess right here. Here is the care that Russia will give. And I'm going to show this guy driving in to get water in Mariupol. Okay. And I just want everybody tonight to look at the faces of the people walking in like zombies because they're under occupation to get water. This is not 1942. This is 2022 in Mariupol, Ukraine.
Утро. Ведем машину воды.
Look at the bombed out buildings. Destruction. And folks, I'm here to tell you tonight, people are living in these buildings.
Вот
People
это
are
Киевская,
living in these
57-й
buildings.
дом. Вот.
My house. Look at the people coming out
Доброе
Just
утро всем.
to get
Как
water.
водичка?
Good morning, everyone.
Всё
How's the
отлично.
water?
Вот люди собираются, идут за водой все. Всем доброе утро всем.
Good morning,
Доброе
everyone.
утро всем. Доброе утро.
Zhega, that's the opposite of Ukraine. Those people, dude, you got to confirm what I'm saying here. They're living in those buildings in whatever availability shelter they can find. They're not walking 4 miles across Mariupol from some other part of the city to get that water. They're there.
Mm-hmm.
There's no infrastructure. There's no water. They get water out of a truck. And we know that cholera is starting to run pretty strong through Mariupol, the disease. And they're having a pretty good problem. But this shows this is what Russia does. This is not what
And-
Ukraine would do.
Yes, 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 yes. Ukraine would ask, if not possible to care, would ask and would request for specific help in medicine help from international friends,
Yes.
from medics, because we do care. And in case like a COVID, we
Yes.
will be happy to help, get help from Italy, Germany, doesn't matter, United States, Canada, the doctors and the medics who are ready
Great
to
point.
help and
Great
wishing.
point.
And we did it. What Russia did they invite any of international specialists?
No, what
No,
they
they
did
said-
is they kidnapped them. What you saw in that picture was trash, destroyed buildings, people living there, and they bring water in some filthy truck. Let's be honest. A dirty truck, and they'll fill up 10, 15 liters. That's what you have. You're right. Ukraine would say, get in here, Europe. Get in here, Red Cross. Get in here, UN. Get in here, Samaritan's Purse, Franklin Graham. Get in here and let's take care of these people. What you saw there was nothing but a truck full of water.
I mean, like for example, the situation probably you can. Okay, it's a positive program, but in Mariupol, they were announced the humanitarian aid distributing, but there were this description that comment that this help is just for people who are unable to work.
Correct. They even post the list.
Yes.
only-
What about the rest?
Correct.
It's not possible to buy, not possible to have the same job they had before. It's
Listen.
okay.
Check. What happened to my thing? Oh, there you are. Listen to me. I disconnected from my headset. I can edit it and fix it. There, go on it. Oh, there you are. All right. Listen, the postings I saw said, okay, we'll give humanitarian aid if you're an invalid, if you're older, if you have children with special needs, But if you are of working age and you're able to do anything, you're not getting any help. You've got to go to work to get anything. And it's completely opposite. And these people, they're literally walking around Mariupol. Zhenya, I don't know how to say it. I don't know the words. You know, PTSD or stressed out, having disorders. Just think about living under occupation after your city is destroyed. And it's been nonstop shells and bombs and invasions. And your city has been at the center of this war and the story globally for months. We can't even begin to comprehend how these people are thinking and living and the terror and torture they're under. It's tough. We need weapons.
We need weapons, and good news that
Yes.
our guys using the weapons we have.
Yes.
This 10% of all promised.
That's right.
Just
10%.
before Lend-Lease. About that.
Here's some good news. Yesterday, and I waited because I wanted to get some video of this, and I've got it, and I've edited it together a little bit. So the world made this big deal, Europe specifically, made this big deal 2 days ago. Well, Scholz and Macron and the prime minister from Italy, they're coming to Kyiv. They're going to have this great meeting and show support, and we know it was nothing but a photo opportunity. But you know what happened yesterday? Boris Johnson just showed up. It was not announced. It was not in the news. And like 4 days later, Boris Johnson's going to come visit. He said, I'm just showing up to visit my friend. Here comes Boris yesterday. Now, I've got an image there, and that represents daytime on the left and nighttime on the right. I consider the visit of Scholz and Macron the exact opposite of the visit of Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson didn't come there and just have a meeting and sit in a room, take a few photos. They did meet, of course, but then, as always, they're out in the city. They're visiting. They're talking to people. And we want some good news tonight. I was able to get a lot of the video, and now I just want to show it. Here, some good news. Mr. Boris Johnson, we're glad that you are in office and they didn't get you out. Welcome back to the scene.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, Boris.
The President. Come on here.
Nice to meet you.
Lovely to
Prime
see you.
Minister.
How are you?
Thank you so much.
See you. How you doing?
Thank you so much.
Very, very
How are
good
you?
to see you. All good. All good. Fantastic. Good.
I'll take you. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So Jubilee.
Thanks so much.
Let me just.
I love it. They're just talking in English. Now they're visiting the wall. And talking in English and visiting a wall. That's friendly actions. It's care. It's honor.
I said it's Gostabel.
Yeah, it was
You got it. You got it back.
they occupied it, we occupied it.
Of course, all these places we've been many, many times. It's just a beautiful area of Kyiv. Beautiful. This church is so beautiful.
So, are you a monk? Yes, I am.
Are you a monk? Yes, I am.
So we are St.
Barbara.
Catherine.
Catherine. What is golden? How do you say golden dome?
There are many churches with golden cupolas.
Yeah, there are. Georgi.
Yes, St. George. Pokrov.
Fantastic.
Spare your arms.
Right, look at these guys. Slava Ukraini.
Подякувати вам за те, що ви щоденно робите, захищаючи всіх нас, нашу державу, за вашу велику справу. Хочу вам подякувати. Бережіть себе. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you. Добрый день, everybody. I'm Boris Johnson from London, and I just want you to know that we support you.
Борис Джонсон з Лондона.
Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава!
Good luck. Good luck, and congratulations on destroying all these Russian tanks.
See, at this moment,
Вітаємо!
How are you? Nice to see everybody.
Дякую.
Just to say how strongly we support Ukraine and the people of Ukraine, and I want to say thank you to your incredible resistance. Thank you very much.
Дуже нас підтримують.
Дякую, everybody. Thank you.
Дуже дякуємо.
Thank you. Thank you. See you later. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
This is your best ally.
You know, it doesn't get any better
Friend.
than that for a smile. That's a friend.
Yes.
He's up in the church and he goes, "Are you a monk?" I mean, just normal conversation,
Yeah.
being a friend. And, you know, on this Saturday night, by the way, everybody get in church tomorrow, but on this Saturday night, it gives us a smile, you know, because Boris Johnson is very important. And you can say what you want to. He did it on purpose, and I'm very glad he did. Let them cats from Europe come in there, Macron and Schultz and the others, but I'm going to go and I'm just going to go see my friend. The book he brought Zelensky was a book about the Queen of England. And I could see her picture on the front of it when he passed it. Who knows? Queen Elizabeth may even sign that for Zelensky, and that would be something because they're not allowed to give their autograph, but that would be cool. But regardless, he gave him a gift. And of course, Zhenya, we've been all through all of that area of Kyiv many times, walking around and enjoying the city. Been to that church many times. It's beautiful. But what I liked at the end, and what Kyiv has in the middle right there, they've put together a monument of destroyed tanks, destroyed trucks, and they're showing them off in Kyiv like trophies. And that's where they ended. And Boris Johnson told those guys, "You're doing a good job blowing up those Russian tanks.
Good luck.
Good luck blowing up some more." What an opposite of Macron and Schultz taking their picture and then coming back home and saying, "You know, we need to call Mr. Putin. Make sure we keep calling Putin." Boris Johnson just says, "You know what? Keep blowing them up."
Yeah, the Macron and Scholz, their message, they left. They do we like or not, but in future we need to think that we will need to find, Ukraine will need to find a way to communicate with Russia about the future.
Correct.
Because sadly, but will not be possible to avoid it. Macron says, not Macron, Boris Johnson says, "Okay, good luck, destroy more tanks of occupied. That's it." He doesn't care about, this is the way he understands Ukraine need to deal with aggressor at this moment. That's it.
He understands the real picture. He
And
does.
good news. Good
Yes.
news is.
Yeah, this is all good news.
Good news is Ukraine will not be the same anymore. We will learn our lessons.
Yes,
Then
sir.
we got new friends, the countries and the nations, real friends, which was tested by tough times, and it will be forever. I believe.
Correct.
The situation showed us weak parts and the sides of our society, economic, military, the weapons.
Hmm.
So it means we will be stronger after that.
We have
Then
learned a very difficult lesson.
and we got a lot of friends, churches. We've been unified in prayers.
Yes.
We've been unified checking our theology.
Yes.
And it was like renewed, I would say. A lot of theology, practical theology.
This is really, could we say it this way? Because we're positive tonight.
Yes.
As hard as this is, and as ugly as it is, there's been, I don't want to throw the word miracle out, but there's been a really lot of good things that have come out of this evil. And future generations are going to reap the harvest of what many Ukrainians are sacrificing right now, not only in Ukraine, but around the world.
Yes, and I think the times like this make country more clean. Surely we lose our heroes, our soldiers, fathers, sons, medics, professionals, IT people. But we fight for our freedom. We fight not just for, I don't know. It's not like elections runs. It's surviving. It's a
At
fight
the-
for freedom.
For
life.
Smert.
Mm-hmm.
Life or
Yes.
death. It's life or death.
And yes, a lot of good things we can see, because maybe aggressor wants for us to see on the dark side and black side and no hope, no light. But no, this is what devil wants for people, to not to see any, to have any hope, and so on, and hide everything, and God wants everything to have on light,
Yeah. And
to have it open.
people, ever since the beginning of this war, and we've really wanted to keep this entire show positive, but as always, we begin to read each other's minds, not knowing, what I've prepared or what's in your mind. And I always want your real-time answers, but you're kind of pushing me to show this. And this is where we'll close out tonight. Many people do not understand it when I say this is a holy war or an unholy war or a religious war. But the reality is, this is a war of good versus evil, of light versus darkness. It is a war where churches and religions are thrown out in just normal language, whether it be the Orthodox Church in Russia. We just watched Boris Johnson visiting the Orthodox Church there, the beautiful, I think it's St. Michael's in Kyiv. Is that St. Michael's? I think it is. The blue one.
Maybe.
I think it's Michael's. It's beautiful. It's as we saw. But we see this, and we keep hearing about the unification of some churches and the division of other churches. And even on the propaganda channels, they talk about Christianity. They talk about Kirill. In fact, I've got this little clip, and I had it here just in case we went this direction. So let me show you this, and then we'll close out with a blessing on the folks tonight. Check this out. When we're talking about what Zhenya's talking about, Christianity, religion. It's in this war, folks.
Но сегодня наконец-то случилось то, чего мы давно ждали. Но некая Лиз Трасс, которая гордится тем, что она внесла патриарха в санкционный список, ну, это как понимать? То есть гонение на христиан устраивает это безграмотное, ничтожное создание, возомнившее себя министром иностранных дел чего? Страны, которая когда-то уже предала веру из-за похоти своего короля, и в результате появилось англиканство? То есть это вообще что такое? И теперь она, возомнив себя неведомо кем, пытается устраивать гонения на святейшего патриарха? То есть Лиз Трасс объявляет России религиозную войну, всему православию? А главное, это какая мания величия должна быть у этой малообразованной, но закончившей приличное учебное заведение гражданки? От татар и до монгол не было такой фантасмагорической наглости. Она что себе возомнила? Она вообще кто? Она может войти в историю только чем? Что устраивает гонение на святейшего патриарха? В аду место таким будет. Ну, это очевидно. Сколько бы раз ни говорили, Россия, любой, кто ее поддержит, окажется не на той стороне истории. Да сколько вас было, так считавших? Сколько вас было? И где вы все с вашей стороной истории? Почитайте Александра Сергеевича Пушкина. Найдете себе место среди нечуждых вам гробов. Сколько вас было, пытавшихся указать России ее, с какой стороны ее место?
And there you have it. I mean, listen, it doesn't matter. You know, I try to paint the big picture, Jaka, and I was watching you in the green room snicker a little bit during that because it's funny, many of the things he says. But the message, it's all I'm trying to continue to convey, that as Christians, many times we talk about the Bible, we talk about prophecy, we talk about all of these things. But then when you begin to hear this rhetoric, he's blasting out the persecution of Christians. He talked about church history, and folks, the splitting of the Church of England and Rome. He's talking about that. And then he talks about persecuting the holiest patriarch, and the world wants to wage a religious war against Russia. You know, it's easy for us to read history and look back at the times of old. The Crusades, back in biblical history, and we look at that very easily and we call it religious wars. But you look at things like this and it's hard to evaluate it because we see so much evil. But when it comes down to it, it is a war of good versus evil and light versus darkness. And we must remember that.
And light will win.
Every time. Hey, overall, we had mostly smiles tonight. Been a good night. Folks, this is your update, day 115, Saturday, June the 18th, early in the morning on the other side of the pond there. And I'm actually en route on an airplane right now, soon to be landing in Reno, Nevada. May the Lord bless you guys. May you have a great evening, remainder of your Saturday evening. Have a good day tomorrow. And of course, we will be updating you tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Janka, thank you, brother. We love you. Hart? A good night to all.
To all, a good night.
Спокойной ночи.
Доброй ночи.